So let me just check in a second. How are you doing? So a lot of us are being exposed to what's happening right now in the world regarding ICE. Now, we're not going to go into all the details of what's happening and all of those things, but what I want to tell you is that if you have noticed any of these type of symptoms to what you're seeing, whether it's in your community, whether you heard it at your job, after being exposed, there's a lot of vicarious trauma. Now, if you don't know what this is, let me get into it a little bit. Vicarious trauma just means that you have been impacted mentally and emotionally, and probably even feel it in your body by something that you witness. So, a lot of times I notice that clients don't even really realize that they are suffering from trauma. The thing is that maybe because it doesn't fit the specific or the typical PTSD aspect, but whenever you have been exposed to something through your eyes, through listening, maybe you see something on the news, maybe someone at your job is talking about it, maybe you know a family member that is experiencing it. You know that you have been affected by vicarious trauma if you are experiencing the same symptoms that a typical person that has been traumatized will feel. So let's get into it a little bit. A lot of people that have been affected by trauma, notice that they're hypervigilant. They may get nervous whenever they are reminded of the thing that happened. They may experience a lot of anxiety. They may have flashbacks. They may have trouble sleeping. They may be irritable. They may be depressed. And maybe they just deal with a lot of anxiety as a result of this trauma. The truth is that you don't actually have to physically experience that in order for you to be traumatized. And that's where vicarious trauma comes in. Vicarious trauma is basically when you've been exposed to a trauma in even different ways outside of it just being you that went through that thing. So there's different things that you could do in order to deal with the vicarious trauma. First thing you need to do is to determine if you meet any of those criteria. If you do, I definitely would encourage you to book an appointment so that we can get started with helping you on your healing journey. But in the meantime, I do have something that I want to teach you. If you're dealing with vicarious trauma, you might really find that you're thinking about this situation that happened or that you were exposed to over and over and over again, and it may interfere with your regular day-to-day activities. You may even notice that you're starting to feel guilty, that you feel shame, or even self-doubt. A lot of us out here that are being exposed to certain things are feeling is anger. Whether you've seen someone being detained, these things can actually be traumatic for a lot of people. What I want to tell you to do is make sure you limit the time that you have on television and on the news. Now, I know a lot of times we really want to make sure we're being informed so that we know how to help ourselves and also help other people. But the reality is that as you're constantly feeding yourself this negative information, that actually has a way of increasing the symptoms that you're already experiencing. So if you're noticing a lot of anger, it can make you more angry. If you're noticing a lot of anxiety, it can make you more anxious. So we want to make sure that you're being very careful with limiting the amount of time that you're spending on the news. And this also could be the radio too, if you happen to listen to the news over the radio. So another technique that you can use if you notice that you've been affected by vicarious trauma is actually doing visual imagery. So when you do visual imagery, you want to think about something, a person, or a place that brings happiness to you. So you want to think about it. For instance, sometimes people may say, so I want to imagine going to a Caribbean island. Maybe you've even been to a Caribbean island before. Think about the aspects of that place. You want to think about, what did it taste like when you were there? Or what would you eat if you went there? You want to think about, what do you hear? What kind of sounds do you hear on the island? You want to think about, what is it that you're touching? You touch the sand. Are you shaking people's hands? Are you touching a chair while you're there? You want to think about what you smell. Are you smelling food? Are you smelling the salt water? Are you smelling that pina colada? You want to think about all these different aspects of your five senses And that is something that can definitely bring you back and help you to be grounded during this time. So at Peaceful Mental Health Counseling Services, we're not just trauma sensitive and trauma focused, but we're also culturally sensitive. With that being said, yes, we're talking about ICE. Yes, we are very familiar with immigration and dealing with various cultures. So if you find that you're going through something related to immigration, and whether it's you that's going through the process, or you know someone else, or you've even witnessed something, just know that we are here to support you throughout it all. We even do immigration evaluations as well, if that's something that you're looking for. Just know that you do not have to go through this alone, and that you have the support that you need right here. I encourage you to go ahead and click the link below and book an appointment today. Be well.